So, good morning, and welcome. And we're so excited to have you here with us this morning. My name is Julie Love, and on the phone with me is Johnny Rodriguez, and we are the recruiting team for the Illinois Department of Revenue. And this morning, we're going to do a session to cover the benefits of a career in state government. We're going to talk about opportunities with revenue, how to apply for positions with the state, some of the benefits, a little bit about the interviewing process. So we have a lot to cover. We have muted everyone. Our goal is to get through the PowerPoint this morning and then have a session for questions and answers at the end. And I will say that if for whatever reason you are not able to stay in the end, please, or your questions are very specific, please reach out to either Johnny or myself directly and we'll answer those questions. So with that in mind, let's talk about what Illinois Department of Revenue does. And our mission is pretty simple. It is to administer Illinois tax laws and collect tax revenues. We do that in a fair and consistent manner, and we also are a resource to all of our elected officials, policymakers, and constituents, taxpayers like all of you on the call this morning. We have been around for quite some time. We are one of the oldest state agencies in the state of Illinois. We were put together through legislation to collect revenues, taxes for motor fuel back in the 40s. And now we collect over 80 different taxes. We have 1,300 employees. We do more than 13 million tax returns, and last year did $67 billion in collecting revenues. The photo on the slide here is our location in Springfield, Illinois. We also have locations across the state. We have 2 in Chicago, 1 in Des Plaines, and 1 at 555 West Monroe in downtown Chicago. We also have a location in Rockford, Illinois, Fairview Heights, and Marion. And this will be important when you start looking at job postings for a couple of reasons. They ask you in the application process to select 2 locations, and you might want to stay close to home. So for example, you might want to stay in the Chicago area. However, we may have openings in Des Plaines, and it might be easier for you to get in, offered a position in the Des Plaines office, and then after time you can transfer to Chicago. We have a lot of people who will apply and come down to Springfield and work down here and then move back to the Chicago area where their home is. So you want to make sure when you do your application that you put at least 2 counties on there so that you might be eligible to get a position in a different county to get you in the door. Let's talk about the great benefits for the state of Illinois. Working for the state, you get some pretty amazing benefits. So we all enjoy a 37.5-hour work week. Our schedules normally are Monday through Friday, very little weekend work ever. We have a very robust vacation, sick, personal, and 13 paid holidays. On election years, we get 14 paid holidays. Some of our positions do qualify for flexible work schedule. It really does depend on the position. And we also offer 10 weeks of paid parental leave for our employees, which is really a wonderful benefit. Continuing on benefits, we offer health, vision, dental, and there is no waiting period for that. So on day 1, you are covered. And then we also offer a variety of other benefits, life insurance, and then several different types of pre-tax programs, such as health savings accounts, dependent care assistance programs, commuter savings for our employees up in the Chicago area. And one of our new programs the state offers is called Be Well, and that is a mental and physical health wellness program that's all of our state employees are eligible to participate in. This slide's called financial wellness because we also do offer some extra benefits that will help you out on the finance side of things. The first being the public service loan forgiveness program. If you are eligible to participate in that, that is something worth exploring working for the state. also offers tuition reimbursement to our employees, and we pay up to $3,000 per year. For full-time employees, we cover 100% tuition and fees at accredited public institution, and we cover 80% at private institutions. The biggest advantage for me in my age is the retirement or the pension program. So that's wonderful. But we also offer deferred comp, which is kind of an additional savings avenue for retirement for our employees. And last, 529 college savings plans we offer for our employees. I think what stands revenue apart from some other state agencies is the career potential that you have here. Many of our senior leaders, our managers started out in what's called our trainee titles, and they have worked their way up into higher level supervisory roles. And that's one of the greatest things about revenue is there is so much room for growth. Once you get your foot in the door and get some experience, you are free to roam around our agency and apply for other positions. And we not only encourage that, we support you and help you. And we do that in a couple of different ways. First is our incredible learning and development division that we have here, where we offer online CBL, a community-based computer-based learning classes. And then we also have in classes, they're back again since COVID paused us for a moment. I'm going to skip down a little bit and talk a little bit about upward mobility. It is a program that the state has with AFSCME, where we help employees take classes to help them promote into higher level. Sometimes there is a free college program. We're being told right now that that has been put on pause for any new employees, but our existing employees can still benefit from that. And then some of our positions also offer bilingual skill pay. So if you are speaking another language and the position requires it, you can be paid for that. Now, the one I skipped was CMS University. And there are many classes that you can take through CMS University to help you build skills and gain knowledge in the positions that you're in. So a lot of different opportunities for existing employees and new employees to continue learning and advance in their career. The state itself offers a variety of other voluntary benefits. So depending on where you are in your life, some of these other benefits may be applicable to you. I'm celebrating the 2-year arrival of my puppy Archie. So pet insurance was important to me a couple of years ago. Maybe the weight loss program or the legal ease program that we offer might be something that you need at this juncture in your life. So there are a lot of other benefits that the state offers. In addition, CMS, which is Central Management Services, they are a state agency as well, and they offer career counseling. This is both for applicants and existing employees. Now, they have gone remote when COVID started. So instead of scheduling appointments to go in and meet with a counselor, you do everything via email and kind of electronically. But that is open to applicants such as yourself. If you want help in trying to decide which position would be a good fit for you, you can reach out to them at the email on the screen and set up an appointment to visit with one of the career counselors. We also have the CMS Disabled Worker Trainee Program, where we help individuals that are disabled find positions with the state. And we also, CMS offers the Illinois Veterans Outreach Program. Now, we talked a lot about the state in general and what it offers. So let's transition a little over into revenue. So there are going to be a couple of key takeaways from this morning's session. And the first one is we want you to write down this tax.illinois.gov, because that is where you land on our webpage. And this is where all of our positions are posted. So you'll want to put that in your favorites and make sure that you check it out. If you go to the very first tab about IDOR and you scroll down almost to the bottom, it says employment opportunities. And if you click on that, it takes you to a page that looks like this. And this page has a lot of resources on it. One caveat, about halfway down, it says CMS application, and we no longer are using the paper application. So if you go out there today, that link is not on here. So it will look a little different. But on this page, you'll see job postings, you'll see something called sign up for job alerts. We'll talk about that. Working at IDOR, there are some employee testimonials of our existing staff about what it's like to work at Revenue, the benefits that we offer, the culture here. So I would encourage you to check those out, as well as a segment on what it's like to live in Springfield. So as I mentioned earlier, we have 6 locations. The majority of our positions are down in Springfield, Illinois. It is a great place to live. If you are able, I would encourage anyone to think about applying for jobs down here and relocating to Springfield and experiencing what a great community that we have. If that's not an option, then there are those other locations across the state for you to look at. A little bit on our webpage about the employee benefits, which we've covered, frequently hired positions we have at IDOR, the veterans outreach, and the upcoming outreach events that we have. Now, the key is on job posting, the first link on there. And once you click it, it will take you to a page that looks like this. And here are a couple of key takeaways from today. So first of all, if this page is blank, that means we have no open positions. And that doesn't happen very often, once in a while, but usually we always have positions out here. And the key for any position with the state of Illinois is that you have to apply when there is an open position. So if you find something out here that looks interesting and you decide you have to leave and go to work, or doorbell rings and you aren't able to come back to this, and you think, oh, I'll go back, on the weekend when I have more time. If the position closes and comes down, you are not able to apply for that position. So you want to make sure that you apply when there is an active link. What I would also encourage you to do is to click on each of these links and look at the job responsibilities that each of them have, so you can get an idea of the types of jobs that we have at Revenue. We have so many. So once you click on an active link, it takes you to a page that looks like this. And this gives you all the key elements for what you need to know about this job. And each of those links will have a page that looks similar to this. So it gives you, again, key takeaway, closing date. This one was back in July 28th of 2022. Some of the postings will have a date on it and a time. Pay particular attention to that, because if it says 5 p.m. is the deadline today and you submit your application at 5:01, it will not be accepted. So make sure you pay particular attention to the closing date. The salary is listed on here, and also the type of job, the county in which the position is located. In this case, it's Cook. The number of vacancies. In this case, there were 2 for this title. And that Plan BU lets you know if it's a bargaining unit, which is what BU stands for, or if it's a merit comp job. And in this case, it's a merit comp job that says gubernatorially excluded. If it is a union position, it'll have initials like RCO 29 or RCO 62, and that indicates which union that position is in. Now, when you get to each of these links or job postings will have the job responsibilities, the minimum qualifications, and the preferred qualifications. So you'll want to make sure that you read through the job responsibility. This is really what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. So you'll want to make sure that you read through those. And the second most important thing is the minimum qualifications, because if it asks for certain degrees or experience, if you don't meet it, you will not pass or get through to the next level of answering the questions for the position. So you have to meet the min quals for each position. And then finally, the final details on how to apply. So all of our positions at Revenue require the successful completion of a tax compliance and fingerprint-based background check. Every position here has to go through that. If you don't pass those 2 functions or process steps, you are not offered a position with Revenue. Also, any lifting requirements, any travel, some positions require that they carry a cell phone and a laptop. So any specific conditions of employment would be listed here. tells you the location of the position, who the contact is, and then a little bit about revenue. And then the next step is to apply. So you hit that blue button. If you have an account set up, it would automatically take you to your account if you've applied for other positions. If you don't, it will ask you to set up an account. And it's basic information. If you've applied for any type of position recently online, then it's going to ask for your basic demographic information. You can, as you can see, this is my account, and I've uploaded my resume and a cover letter, and I would encourage you to do that. But again, you have to set up the account. And then once you do that, then it will take you to those men qualification questions we talked about earlier. So the first one is, the position requires knowledge, skill, mental development equivalent to completion of 4 years of college, preferably with courses in business, public admin. Do you meet this requirement? And if you say yes, then you have to answer that second question that says, tell us how. And here's takeaway number 3. Be very specific. If you say something like, I have a bachelor's degree, you need to be very specific. I have a bachelor's degree in business management. I have a master's degree in human resource administration obtained in, if you want to put the year, great. If you don't, that's okay. But it was from Benedictine or the University of Illinois. You want to make sure you're very specific in your answers. And we'll talk about that on the interview side. And then you'd go to question number 3. The position requires prior experience equivalent to 3 years, blah, blah, blah. Do you meet the requirement? Yes. Tell us how. If you say something like, I've been a manager for 10 years, you may or may not get passed. So you want to make sure that you say, I've been a manager, I've managed 16 people, I hired, terminated, evaluated, coached. You want to be as specific as possible in all of your answers on here. Now, here's the key takeaway from the segment is don't miss out. So there's all these positions that are out there, and you don't want to have to go to our webpage every day and look for the jobs. So how do you not miss out? And the secret there is to sign up for the job alerts. And I promise you, we will not send you any information other than about jobs with revenue. You can do it via text or email. And if you give us basic information and tell us how you want to be notified, we will notify you when a position posts. And I highly encourage you to do this because this will keep you in the know, and particularly for positions where you might be in college finishing up a degree, but you won't be done until next May. You still will want to keep an eye on the positions because we have positions posted now, and those jobs won't start until January, and we'll post positions in probably January, February, and those positions won't start until June. So if you think, well, I really won't start looking for a job until I get closer to graduation, you've missed the boat. You need to apply when the position's posted, and that might be 3 or 4 months prior to your graduation. So you'll want to make sure that you apply when the position's posted, even though it might not be at the time that you might think it would be. Now let's transition and talk a little bit about the actual hiring process. So this is the part where people get a little bit confused. It's not hard. It takes a little bit of time. You have to invest. And the good news is that there is no more paper application. We've gone to the 21st century, and everything is done online now. What I encourage people to do is to create a Word document that has all of your details in it and keep that master document. And then as you're looking at positions that you're applying for, you have to go in and answer those questions on the electronic portion. You can cut and paste directly from your Word document into the application. And it's so much easier than having to rekey it and retype it every time. Again, when you submit your application, your resume, you want to include all the details. So don't leave anything out. If you tell me you're a receptionist at a law firm, that doesn't really tell me a whole lot. You want to tell me that you're answering 15 lines, you work for 100 attorneys, you order lunch, you set up meetings. You really want to give as much detail as possible in your online application. Once you've applied, this is the part where people get a little frustrated because it does take time. And some of that is because there's a lot of going back and forth between us and CMS, Central Management Services. So once you apply, your application goes to CMS. They review it to make sure you meet the minimum qualifications. It comes and certify you, or not certify, but I just lost the word. Sorry about that. Anyway, they will review your application, make sure that you're eligible. They send them back to us. And then we go through the process of either calling you to set up an interview or calling you and offering you the details of the position and making you an offer. This can take 4 to 12 weeks. It does take a while, I understand, but it's just because of that process that we have to go through. Candidates answering the application questions incorrectly will receive an automated email within 24 hours notifying them that they did not meet the minimum acceptable qualifications of the position. Now, let's talk a little bit about revenue itselk and what we call our program areas. So everyone assumes that you have to be a CPA, or a lot of people do, that you have to be a CPA to work at revenue, and that is incorrect. And they also assume that you have to either like math or know a lot about taxes, and that is incorrect. In most cases, many of our positions work in our database or kind of our electronic system, which is called Gentex. And most of the math portion is done electronically. If you like numbers, that's great. If you are afraid of them and they cause you stress, don't worry. We have several positions that don't involve any of the tax information, and we'll talk about those. So getting into our program areas, the first one is taxpayer services. I'm sorry, I'm out of whack here. It is account processing. And this is basically where the taxes come in to revenue. So if you're an Illinois resident and you've ever worked and you've paid individual income taxes, your information comes to us. It comes into DC&D, the remittance area. They sort it. They go through the data entry process. If there are questions, they do the research and analysis, and then they kind of get the ball rolling. And under account processing, there's also electronic and commerce. All of our records are kept here, as well as what's called central processing and business processing. And again, this speaks to all the different types of positions that we have available at revenue. Next, we have taxpayer services, and basically they are the customer service branch for revenue. So they are talking to taxpayers. They answer more than 1 million calls per year. They respond to actually more than 100,000 emails annually. So they kind of are the customer service portion of revenue, and they correspond quite frequently with all of our taxpayers, whether that be a business owner or an individual, or someone that's out there processing taxes on their end in a community organization. Our collections unit is responsible for collecting delinquent taxes. Sometimes people forget to pay for whatever reason. So this program area follows up, and either via a letter, phone call, or some field contact. Most of these revenue collection officers maintain an inventory of about 300 to 400 active collection cases at any given time. So they are basically working with our taxpayers to try to collect any revenues that are owed to us. Our audit area is broken down into 4 different areas. There's audit planning, tax support, discovery, and audit review. And it's one of the areas that it's quite large, and it is an area that we get a lot of very positive feedback from our taxpayers from, because our auditors develop relationships with their taxpayers, and they are the tax experts that are helping them. So small businesses like a donut shop or a daycare, an alteration shop, they know what they do and they do it very well, but sometimes they don't know taxes. So our auditors are Their resource for all audit related kind of questions, and it's very beneficial for both. Now, it is also one of the ways that you can get into a position at Revenue. We call this entry level to six figures, and we can help you get there. So maybe let's say you haven't started college, or you started and you quit. What we encourage folks to think about is starting in one of our clerical positions, such as an office assistant. Get your foot in the door, take advantage of our tuition reimbursement program. We'll help you pay for your college degree. You could promote into what's called a revenue tax specialist trainee. And then once you finish your college degree, you can join the revenue auditor trainee path and then keep growing. So all of our trainee titles that we have are union positions, and we give you all of the training that you need, classroom and on the job. So you don't need to know anything about taxes whatsoever. When you join Revenue, we give you all the training that you need. And as you complete a portion of that training, you are given what's called a step increase. So you can go from most of our trainee titles, the starting salaries range between 49 and 52. You can start there and you can be up to six figures within a relatively short period of time, less than 10 years. Now, let's jump back to the rest of our program areas. We have legal services, and basically that team covers revenue in both civil and criminal litigation, and we have different areas: income, sales, and property tax. And finally, our criminal investigation area. I think this is one of the most exciting areas. Basically, they are also enforcing the tax code compliance, but they do a lot of undercover work. They do like covert cigarette purchases. They look for maybe fuel tax compliance truckers that are not, don't have the correct permit to be on the roads in Illinois, and then tax fraud that's taking place with our taxpayers. We're going to transition and talk a little bit about some of the positions at Revenue. And again, this information is on our website. So, or if you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out to Johnny or myself. And I won't go over these all in great detail, but give you an overview. Again, these are part of our Revenue trainee titles. I know they're not super sexy titles, but I call them the foot in the door jobs. All of the RTS titles are found in all of the four major program areas. So account processing, audit, taxpayer services, investigation, and collections. And again, we are going to train you everything that you need to know. So this position develops basic computer concepts, research methods, communication skills. You'll learn about tax laws, rules, and regulation. The salary range is from $42,900 to $59,000, and it does require a bachelor's degree. It is a union job, and this title has no interview. So you simply apply. If you meet the minimum qualifications, you get a phone call. The revenue auditor is very similar. It's going to review taxpayers' books and records. Salary range 46 to 64. It does require a bachelor's degree, and again, a union title with semi-automatic promotions. The revenue collection officer, again, maintains 300 to 400 active collection cases, and you'll be reviewing, researching case history, traveling to some businesses, and collecting those liabilities. Salary range 46 to 64. Union position, semi-automatic promotions. Now today we have an office assistant position posted. It is live, and it basically does a variety of clerical duties. It's filing, some keyboarding, record processing. This particular one is in our admin services area, so it would work a lot with the fleet area, and I believe records management. The salary range is from $38,352 to $50,820. And again, this goes back to that previous slide. This is a great way that if you get your foot in the door and you can get into revenue and work in this position and go back to school, finish your degree, then you can promote into those trainee titles and then work your way up. And last but not least on our particular positions is our taxpayer student intern. And I love promoting this particular opportunity with revenue because it is a paid part-time internship for up to 4 years. As long as you have graduated from high school and you are enrolled in college, you can work at revenue and get paid as an intern. Learn about revenue and the jobs we have. We give you classroom and on the job training. What you would be doing is answering taxpayers' questions and reviewing what we call suspended returns. You learn so much, so many different job skills in these titles. And basically, we work with you as long as you're in college. You can work at revenue part-time when you're in school, and then you would work full-time in the summer and maybe around Christmas breaks. And we pay $15 an hour with paid holidays for these titles. So if you have students, your neighbors' kids, young adults that you know that would be interested in these, the positions are in Springfield right now, but we are exploring having these positions up in the Chicago locations as well. Now let's transition a little bit, talk about interviews with the state of Illinois, because if you've never interviewed with the state, it's a little different. So first of all of our interviews are virtual, very similar to what we're doing right now. Ours are done on what's called Cisco WebEx. You would get a invite for the interview, and you select your time and your date, and then they would send you a meeting invite, and you would call in just like we're doing right now. There would be 3 panel members. Someone will lead and explain the process. They'll give you a brief description of the position. They'll go over some logistical information, how you can't talk about political affiliation, and how you can't use any resources when you're interviewing. The questions are all the same for all the candidates. And probably the 2 takeaways here are they cannot explain the question. So if they ask you a question that you don't understand, the only thing that the panel can do is repeat the question. So for that reason, you'll want to do 2 things. Make sure you use really good, strong active listening skills, because some of those questions are, there are multiple questions in one. Tell me about your experience working in customer service, and tell me about a time that you had a cranky client. So you got to remember to answer both parts of the questions. And while you're answering, the people on the panel are taking notes, typing in your responses. So there's not a lot of dialogue back and forth with the state interview process. And for some people, that's a little different. So if you know that going in, then you're a little more prepared. The second thing is, again, assume we know nothing about your background. So sometimes during the interview process, people are, they're nervous, it's normal. And they might just simply answer a question thinking, well, you know that already, you read my application. And we can't assume anything that you've given us. We only can take what you tell us in the interview process. So if they say, do you have a college degree? And you say yes, and that's all you say, that's all the credit you're going to get for that answer. And so you'll want to make sure that you would say, yes, I have a bachelor's degree in business management, or yes, I have an accounting degree with a specialization in audit. So be very, very thorough in your answers. Again, listen to all the questions and make sure you highlight skills and knowledge, because as you're answering those questions, you want to make sure that you cover all of the areas. And another key thing here is, if you don't have experience, make sure that you are honest about that and tell that, explain that in the interview. So if they ask me a question about basket weaving, I would simply say, you know, I don't have any experience in basket weaving, but if I did encounter that in the position, this is how I would handle it, and kind of give an example of what you would do or how you would learn about basket weaving. Now, I've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time here. So what I want to emphasize and close out on is why revenue. Every state agency is hiring right now. I will encourage you to go out there and look at all of the opportunities. It's a great time to join the state. Why us? A few things that make us stand out, I believe, are we have a very active diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility committee. They are very involved in our recruiting process. In fact, they help Johnny and I with recruiting events. So they're very committed to our recruiting efforts. We have two beautiful locations, one in Springfield, one in Chicago. That is the picture of our downtown Chicago location. I've not been to our other locations, but I hear they're just as equally as nice. In Springfield, we have on-site daycare. So if you have little wee ones, you can bring them to work with you, drop them off at daycare, go down on your lunch and visit with your kids in the daycare. And we have many of our employees here that do that. We also have public education seminars for our taxpayers. It's something that we do as a service for our business owners and our individual taxpayers, is to help them understand taxes. We know they're hard. We also know you don't like paying them, but we all have to. So we want to make it as educational and as interesting as we can for our taxpayers. We also have a very active, what we call Rec Club, which is our revenue employee club that do all kinds of activities throughout the year. And then Spydor is our internal intranet, so that we can get on there and look and see who's celebrating their upcoming retirement, birthday, all kinds of great resources on our Spydor. So again, we want to encourage you to go out to tax.illinois.gov, check out the positions that we have posted, look around on our employment page, and apply for positions. So with that in mind, we'll see if we have some questions in here. And again, go back to don't miss out on job alerts. So you'll want to sign up for those job alerts so you don't miss any of the information. So let's see, Johnny, are there questions in here that I can go back and answer?
Yes, so they ask about any hybrid positions at this time.
Hybrid meaning a couple of days in the office and a couple of days at home. And yes, some of our positions do qualify for hybrid. So the key right now is that all of our training titles, so any of the revenue tax specialist trainee, the collection officer trainee, or the auditor trainee, those positions all are in the office full time, because there is classroom and on the job experience, and we just can't do that with everyone at home. So those titles are all in the office. Once you are certified, and if you apply for a position in another area, once you become certified and get through that training period, then those positions, for example, many of our auditors are working from home on a hybrid schedule. So there are positions, it just really does depend on the title.
They ask, are there any fully remote positions? I believe the field auditors, they're fully remote, but they have to do an auditor training position first.
Correct. Yep. So for anyone new coming in, you would have to go through the training process first before you were a full auditor. And then once you hit that full auditor title, then yes, you would be fully remote. Vaccination status, is it great if you are, but there's no requirement for us. For taxpayer student intern positions, I schooled outside of Illinois. If you mean that you are going to school outside, if you're doing online classes, that's fine, as long as you can prove that you're in school. I mean, we do need a copy of your schedule, but if you, for example, are taking online classes at Purdue University in accounting, as long as you can show us your schedule and we work around that, if you are in Springfield and can show up and work, then yes, you are eligible to apply for that student intern.
Then they ask about credit for bilingual skills.
So that you do, the position has to be, for example, Spanish speaking. So if my position requires me to speak Spanish in it, then yes, I would be compensated for that. If I speak Spanish, but it's not a requirement, then you are not compensated for it unless you are using it on the job. But most of our positions, if they are, and we do have them in all of our locations, and those positions you'll identify as an SS, which is Spanish speaking. And the majority of our jobs are Spanish speaking. We do have a couple of others, but we don't have as many employees in that job title as we do the Spanish speaking.
Will you pay for relocation, they stated?
No, unfortunately, I wish we could. If we did, I would have a lot more employees coming into Illinois, but unfortunately, we cannot. We are a state agency and we just don't have the funds. That means our taxpayers would be paying for that, and we can't justify that. So I'm sorry, we do not.
Do you pay into CERS retirement system?
You do pay in for the pension program. There is a formula. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, but our benefit person could tell you that. There are two tiers. If you have prior state service and you left and came back, you could be eligible to be a tier 1. That is determined by the State Employees Retirement System, SERS. If you've never had any state service and you joined us tomorrow, you would be in tier 2. And basically that just means the formula for your retirement is a little different.
They also asked, is experience required because they're trying to change career?
It depends on for which title. So for some of our jobs, and that's why you want to go to those job postings and read the minimum qualifications. It will say in that min qual for each of the job postings what experience is required. For all of our trainee titles, there is no experience necessary, just a college degree, or in some cases, if you are a current IDOR employee, you could have some years of experience here and promote into those titles. But if you're off the street and you have no tax experience, but you do have a college degree, let's say you're an accounting major and you want to jump into that revenue auditor trainee title, then we give you all the training in the classroom and on the job training that you would need to do the job.
No problem. They also asked about training for the revenue tax specialist training. What's the time frame?
So each of the trainee titles offers a different training period. Average, you're in the trainee title for a year. Some of them might be 14 months, and then you promote as long as you're meeting you're successful in meeting the job requirements, then you promote to a level 1. And then you're in that position for a period of time. Again, most of them are at a year. And then you promote to a level 2, and you keep going up until you're in that title.
Now, as far as positions, if they're not posted currently, that doesn't mean they're not going to be posted future. So you have to apply when positions are posted on the system. As far as positions in Chicago, we do have positions in Chicago, but as of now, we don't have any posted. But when we do post them, it's going to be on the site. So that's why we encourage everybody to log in and to get text message alerts. So whenever a position becomes available, let's say it's in Chicago, you're able to apply it at that time. Now, somebody has 2 masters, but they didn't complete an undergrad. Could they still apply for the RTS trainee position?
That is a great question, and I don't know. I have never been asked that before. I would have to check on that. So I will put my email address in the chat, and you can email me your specifics, and I will check on that and let you know.
Now, as far as for the revenue tax specialist trainee position, that is any bachelor's degree. It doesn't have to be targeted to, correct?
No, there actually are categories. So for example, if you had a degree in chemistry, unfortunately, we cannot accept that. There are, I want to say 15 different degrees that we accept. There's communication, public relations, psychology, sociology, business management, accounting, finance. I think statistics is in there. There's quite a few, but if you had a degree in nursing, unfortunately, we could not accept that bachelor's degree. But there is a wide range of degrees that we do accept for that title.
All right. And are there any current positions that you do not require to interview at this time?
The Trainee titles do not require an interview. Well, I take that back. Our RAT revenue auditor trainee title did not. I'm not sure on the collection side. I know the taxpayer assistance RTS titles don't require an interview. Those do require a bachelor's degree. Now, on the flip side, the office assistant that's posted doesn't require a bachelor's degree, but it does have an interview associated. And that position also has a test. We didn't talk about that during the PowerPoint. The testing process has changed a little. You used to be able in the old days to go in and take a test anytime for a position, and the state has changed that due to the pandemic. So there's two changes. You have to take a test. You have to apply for the position when it's posted, active, like right now. And then once you have applied, someone from CMS would contact you to schedule a time for you to go in and take the position, the test for that position. So it's a little different. What else is a bachelor's degree of general studies? I don't believe that's on the list. And again, I would encourage you to apply, and CMS will deem you qualified if you meet the MIM quals on there. Can you put the slide back up with the positions you named? So let's see if I can do that.
They also asked, does age matter for particular positions at this time?
Absolutely not. If you're looking at me, you'll see that I'm old. So we want employees who are really going to provide great quality customer service to our taxpayers, be open to learning, be open to working hard and doing a great job. Your age has nothing to do with that.
And then for the office assistant, how long do you have to be in a position before you can exit out of the entry program?
There's really not you have to become certified. If you're a non-state employee, you have to get certified, which is usually can be 4 or 6 months, depending on your status. But once you're in that position, then you are free to roam around, not only revenue, but the state of Illinois.
I believe they were asking more specific to getting into the RTS program, from moving from office assistant to how long that period would be.
Let me think about that for a second. That's a great, hold on a second, and I'll see if my slide has it. Bear with me. Requires high school diploma and 1 year of related office experience as an office assistant. And then you would become a revenue tax specialist trainee, requires 4 years of work experience with revenue. And then you could, if you wanted to go to the auditor path, jump over to the auditor side. You don't have to. You can get into that RTS title and you can stay in that program area and then promote up to a different title within either taxpayer assistance or collections or account processing. You don't have to go to the auditor path.
Then they ask, is a pension benefit available to both union and non-union roles?
Meaning if you're in a union, do you get a pension? Absolutely. And if you're not in the union, do you get a pension? Absolutely. I think that answers that.
Okay. Can my associate's degree in healthcare coupled with my business experience be equal to a bachelor's degree?
Usually not, but again, I would encourage you to apply, and CMS will evaluate if you meet the minimum qualifications for the position and let you know that.
So they worked as a loan assistant for the Small Business Administration during the pandemic. What position can this be transitioned to?
Again, it could be the office assistant position that we have open right now. It really does depend on each individual position, which is why I would encourage you to look at the postings on a regular basis and see what the job responsibilities are. I know, Johnny, can I use you as an example?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to speak for a minute about your background, you had medical experience and you transitioned into HR, right?
Yeah, I started with the state about 5 years ago. Prior to that, I was in healthcare, and I went back to school and got a degree in human resource. At the 4th, 5th year with Department of Employment Security, an opportunity came with Department of Revenue, and I applied, and that's kind of how that went. So If you don't have a degree currently, or you're transitioning from a career from, let's say, healthcare into HR, you're able to do it as long as you transition your way through the process. They say any contract or temporary positions offered at this time.
No, we do not have those.
Is experience considered where a bachelor's is required?
Again, that depends on the position. So you would have to read the minimum qualifications. Some of them will say a college degree or in lieu of 4 years of experience working in our revenue auditor collection trainee title has that caveat to it. So you would want to look at each of the individual positions that are posted and look at the minimum qualifications for each of those titles. But some of them do, yes.
A bachelor's in general studies or concentration in anything, how are those seen as far as bachelor's degrees?
I know it's not on the list for the revenue tax specialist trainee title, but again, I would encourage you to apply. And if once you go through the process at CMS, they look at the min quals, they may say yes. That's up to the examining unit at CMS.
Are associate's degree considered? They have an associate's in business administration.
Again, it depends on the position. So some of our jobs, absolutely. The office assistant, you would get credit for that associate degree when you applied. Right now for the trainee titles, it would be if you had experience working in the collections area, but didn't have a bachelor's degree, that could be considered. Again, you really do have to look at each of the specific positions that we have open to determine what the minimum qualifications are.
And by joining this virtual WebEx, do we get a leg up on the positions they apply for?
I wish I could. No, unfortunately, there's no credit or extra bonus points. We are grateful and we appreciate your time this morning. And we do hope you consider revenue as an employer in the future. But unfortunately, that is one of the things that has been done away with the state. It used to be you had to know somebody to get a job with the state, and that is no longer. So nope, everyone's treated equally.
Is a bachelor's in actuarial science, stats, math, biz, and text mix accepted?
Again, I think it depends on what position you're applying for. We have a research unit here that I think they would absolutely love any kind of actuarial science. So I would encourage you to look, sign up for job alerts, look for those jobs when they're posting, look at the minimum qualifications, and then decide if you want to apply or not.
So they're talking about assessments still required for titles. So some are, not all.
Correct.
Okay.
So the position, if there is an exam required for that position, CMS would contact you and schedule a time for you to go in and take the test.
Is prior working experience ever considered in place of bachelor's degree at this time?
Again, it depends on the position. So there are some across the state that prior experience is accepted in lieu of.
Do you consider credential evaluator bachelor's or science of foreign degrees when authorized organization in the United States? So someone who received a degree from outside the US.
So there is an organization that will transfer, or I guess transfer would be the evaluate your degree from another country and then deem it how that would map on for the state of Illinois for employment. CMS examining could help you with that. So I would reach out to them to see what the steps are in that process.
And can a student apply from outside of the state or outside of the US?
Outside of the US, no. Outside of the state, again, if they mean that they're attending classes, like I'm doing online classes through Phoenix, then yes, as long as you are enrolled in school and you can provide a copy of your schedule to your supervisor that you're enrolled in college, and it doesn't matter what you're enrolled in, then yes, you could come in at revenue and work as a student intern, earn $15 an hour, and we do work around your school schedule.
How many years of tenure are needed in the Department of Revenue to obtain eligibility for full pension?
Depends on if you're a tier 1 or a tier 2. So it really does depend. You would want to contact SIRS for that. And I can see some of the questions coming through. Are the training positions usually posted under job postings? Yes, they're all called, well, they're trainee titles. So revenue tax specialist trainee, a revenue collection officer trainee, and a revenue auditor trainee. And those are all the positions with the state are posted live, either on our own webpage or on the state of Illinois' webpage through CMS. And again, you have to apply for those positions when they're out there and there's a live link. You have to apply. We post our positions for 15 days. Some state agencies only post theirs for 10. So you'll want to make sure you look at that closing date and time, so that you can get your application in before the cutoff. And I do want to plug 2 things for those folks that are on the call that are in the Sangamon County area. We are having an open house on October the 26th from 1:30 to 3:30. You can stop in the Willard Ice Building. Our staff will be on hand, answer questions about jobs that we have open at that time. We're hopeful to have some leaders of those positions join us, and that you could ask specific questions. Individuals from our HR team will be on hand to answer specific questions about benefits. Stop by, get a treat. Again, it's 10/26, October 26th from 1:30 to 3:30 that afternoon. And it's here at the Willard Ice Building down in Springfield, Illinois. And we encourage you to stop in and say hi and introduce yourself. We will put information about the event on our webpage after this call. We didn't want to confuse everyone with both events on there. So it'll go up hopefully this afternoon. And we're also, oh, sorry, Johnny. We're also looking at doing these calls on a monthly basis. And it is our hope that we can have the leaders from the areas that have open positions talk a little bit more about the specifics, the job requirements, and kind of share details about the job. And it's our goal that when we have positions posted and we do this monthly virtual call, that those leaders would be able to join us. So again, go back to our website, look for under our events when these calls are taking place. If you have not already followed us on any of the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, I would encourage you to follow us, particularly LinkedIn, because we often post, well, we don't often, we always post our openings on LinkedIn and our revenue Facebook page. So you can learn about them there as well.
Could we go back to the page where so we could tell them where to sign up for the text message alerts?
Absolutely.
Well, as I said, currently we don't have any positions posted here in the city of Chicago area or Des Plaines area. But when they do become available, if you sign up for the text message alert, you will receive a reminder to apply. So make sure you sign up for that on our website through the Illinois Tax, correct? Is that where they'll be? Yep.
Yep. So this is our web address. So you'll want to go out there and you can get the job alerts link there and get signed up. And then that's also where you'll look for the openings that we have available.
And then add another question, do state residents have priority in candidate selection during hiring process?
I don't think anymore. I think at one time that was that weighed in, but I don't think it does anymore. I could be wrong on that, but I do not believe so, no.
Yeah, and we're not doing on-the-spot virtual interviews today. That I don't know if that was told. This presentation was to inform people on the process to apply for state employment with the Department of Revenue. So if you do have any additional questions, you're welcome to reach out to me or Ms. Julie.
Yes. And I know we are wrapping up with 10:58 and I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. Again, I want to thank you all very much for your time this morning. Please feel free to tune back in. We're going to hopefully offer these on a monthly basis. So the content will be similar as we get new people join us. The portion that would be a little different is the jobs that are active at that time. But again, if you sign up for job alerts, you'll be one step ahead of us. So I thank you for your time this morning. We so appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a very a great day. Happy Friday. And thank you, Johnny.
No problem. I will stop the recording.
Thank you.